Welcome everyone to our channel. Now I'm going to talk about the Baba Vanga and some predict in 2020.
Blind mystic Baba Vanga poignant message to Earth day before she died. Vanga was born in 1911 to Bandar and Paraskeva Serchev in Strumica, then in the Ottoman Empire, today a city in North Macedonia. She was the premature baby who suffered from health complications. In accordance with local tradition, the baby was not given a name until it was deemed likely to survive. When the baby first cried out, a midwife went into the streets and asked the stranger for a name. The stranger proposed Andromache, but this was rejected for being too Greek during a period of anti-Hellenic sentiment within Macedonian society. Another stranger proposal was the Greek name, but since it was Bulgarian, Vangelia from Evangelist. In her childhood, Vangelia was an ordinary Jew with brown style and blonde hair. Her father was an internal Macedonian revolutionary organization activist, conscripted into the Bulgarian army during World War I, and her mother died soon after. This left Baba Vanga dependent on the care and charity of neighborhoods and close family friends for much of her youth. After the war, Strumica was annexed by Serbia. The Serbian authorities arrested the father because of his pro-Bulgarian activity. They confiscated all his property and the family fell into poverty for many years. Vanga was considered intelligent for her age. Her inclination started to show up when she herself threw out games and loved playing howling. She prescribed some herbs to her friends, who pretended to be ill. Her father, being a widower, eventually remarried, thus providing a stepmother to his daughter. According to her own testimony, a turning point in her life occurred when a tornado allegedly lifted her into the air and threw her in a nearby field. She was found after a long search. Witnesses described her as very frightened. She was unable to open them because of the pain. There was money only for a partial operation to heal the injuries she had sustained. This resulted in a greater loss of sight. In 1925, Vanga was brought to a school for the blind in the city of Zemun, in the Kingdom of Serf, Croats and Slovenians, where they spent 3 years, and was taught to read Braille, play the piano, as well as do greeting, cooking, and cleaning. After the death of her stepmother, she had to go back home to take care of her younger sibling. Her family was very poor, and she had to work all day. In 1939, Vanga contracted pleurisy, although it remained largely inactive for some years. The doctor's opinion was that she would die soon, but she quickly recovered. During World War II, Strumica was ceded to Bulgarian. At that time, Vanga attracted believers in her ability to heal and succeed. A number of people visited her, hoping to get a hint about whether their relatives were alive, or seeking for the place where they died. On 8 April 1942, the Bulgarian Tsar Boris III visited her. On 10 May 1942, Vanga married Dmitry Gosterov, a Bulgarian soldier from village of Grand Silesia near Petric, who had come asking for the killer of his brother but had to promise her not to seek revenge. Shortly before marriage, Dmitry and Vanga moved to Petric, where she soon became well known. Dmitry was then conscripted in the Bulgarian army and had to spend some time in northern Greece, which was annexed by Bulgaria at the time. He got another illness in 1947, fell into a colosseum, and eventually died on 1 April 1962. She continued to be visited by dignitaries and commoners. After the Second World War, Bulgarian politicians and leaders from different Soviet republics, including Soviet Premier Lenin Brezhnev, sought her counsel. In the 1990s, a church was built in Ropis by Bogdan Tomalevsky with money left by her visitor. Vanga died on 11 August 1996 from breast cancer. Her funeral attracted a large crowd, including many dignitaries. Blind mystic Baba Vanga gave upon his message the worst day before she died. The 85-year-old continues to stun people with her early accurate prediction despite her death from breast cancer more than 2 decades ago. The Bulgarian prophet is said to have frozen Brexit, the Twin Tower attack and the rise of ISIS among other historical events. It was after an appearance freak accident aged 12 which left her blind that she began to have vision which led her to predict events that came true with extreme accuracy. People would flock to her humble home in the mountain to be held and talk to their future. In her final days, those who visit her say Baba would sit in the middle of her living room beside a table of gifts from visitors. When she was given reading and greeting, she reportedly appeared exhausted and pale, and at the time she could barely speak. She would also apparently ask guys to bring sugar cubes with them, and she would hold them in her hands as if they were crystal before giving a reading. And in her last interview before she died, Baba apparently gave the words a poignant message and said, "Don't hate each other because you are all my children." Meanwhile, as we previously report, Baba's chilling prediction about the day the world will land has been revealed. She said it will happen in 5079. Although she did not detail why or how it would happen, she is said to have an 85% success rate with her predictions. She also appeared to have foretold some life-changing occurrences for the next 12 months, including an economic collapse in Europe and an assassination attempt on Vladimir Putin. She reportedly believed the threats to Putin will come from inside his own security team, but did not specify whether the head of state will die in the attack. She thinks the mega tsunami, similar to the 2004 disaster, will strike in Asia where mysteries will land in Russia. Not only that, Donald Trump will fall ill with a mysterious illness, leaving him deaf and suffering from brain trauma. Baba Vanga began to realize she had a gift after losing her child aged 12, when she was apparently leapt into the air during a storm and flown into a field. When she tried to open her eyes, they were covered in dust and dust, and she was left in agony. Despite the reoperation, nothing could be done to save her vision. She later said 18 after suffering from pleurisy, with traffic breathing and the lung, with doctors believing she would die. She was also born prematurely and suffered health complications, grew up in poverty, had to look after her siblings following the death of her mother and stepmother, and saw her father arrested after being accused of pro-Bulgarian activity. She began to experience unusual things in her dreams, hear voice, talk to her deaths and plans, as well as having vision which led her to predict events that came true with extreme accuracy. In 1989, she guessed that Americans will be hit by a terror attack by two stealth. She said, "Horror, horror. The American blaster will fall after being attacked by the stealth. The whole will be howling in a bush, and the ocean blues will be gushing." Baba reportedly prophesied in 2016 invasion of Europe by Islamist extremists, a conflict she predicted would begin with the Arab Spring in 2010. It also emerged that the predicted that Putin and Russia will dominate the world. In 1979, during a meeting with writer Valentin Sodorov, Vanga said, "I will told, as defined, only one remained untouched. Vladimir glory, glory of Russia. Too much is the bruise in a victim. Nobody can stop Russia. And will be removed by her from the world, and not only will be kept, but also becomes the loss of the world." Baba Vanga 2020 prediction: End of the world, Putin assassination, tsunami in the new year. Baba Vanga is highly Nostradamus by her follower due to her support power for the sign. But what did the blind Bulgarian predict was to happen in 2020? Here are some of Baba Vanga's most terrifying prophecies alongside leading psychic news their prediction. Baba Vanga is considered by her follower to be background Nostradamus thanks to her supposed mythic power. The blind prophet posthumously rose to international prominence since the year 2000 when her prediction about the sinking of the Russian submarine coast came to pass. Since then, Baba Vanga's follower claims she predicted the 9/11 World Trade Center attack, the cataclysmic 2004 tsunami in Thailand and the 2008 election of President Barack Obama. On top of her supposed powers of foresight, Baba Vanga's supporters believe the blind woman who lived in the village of Rupit, Bulgaria, had the power to communicate with the dead. So what exactly did Baba Vanga have to say about the year 2020 before her death in 1996? Did Baba Vanga predict the end of the world in 2020? The most terrifying prediction attributed to the blind medium is the fairy dismissal of the world. But the good news is Baba Vanga supposedly predicted that the Armageddon will not unfold for another 3 years, in the year 5079. The bad news is Baba Vanga did not specify how the world would come to an end or the what will lead to the end times. However, Mr. Hamilton Packer has always expressed promise to be a turbulent years with the wars in the Middle Earth, natural disaster and political unrest. Did Baba Vanga predict an attempt on Vladimir Putin's life in 2020? The medium believes that the convinced Baba Vanga foreshowed one assassination attempt on the life of Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to Charles Dober of the Information Overlord's YouTube channel, the attempt on Mr. Putin's life will unfold at some days in the future in Europe. Mr. Putin will supposedly be attacked by a member of his own security team. Also, Mr. Hamilton Packer did not foresee any such assassination attempt. He did say President Putin will broker a peace treaty with President Trump. Did Baba Vanga predict a cataclysmic tsunami for 2020? Based on Baba Vanga prophecies of the future, a powerful tsunami could strike the 16 years after the tragedy of 2004 tsunami. The 2004 cataclysm killed more than 220,000 people in Southeast Asia. If the blind mystic is proven correct next year, another disaster wave will sweep through parts of Pakistan, Taiwan, China, Indonesia. According to the Mr. Hampton Baker, 2020 will see many environmental disasters unfold all across the world. He said, 2020 will see many earthquakes. In particular, Taiwan and India will see major quakes and many cause disruption to the Summer Olympics. The USA will also experience earthquakes, serious volcanic activity on a small island. I cannot identify where. Ocean evacuation. What has Baba Vanga correctly predicted? Despite being known as Baka Nostradamus, Baba Vanga is only said to have had a success rate of about 85%. The Bulgarian mystic is credited with correctly predicting the sinking of the Russian nuclear submarine coast in 1980. Baba Vanga's followers also claim the woman predicted the rise of ISIS in the Middle East and Barack Obama election as US President. Baba Vanga did, however, incorrectly claim it the first African American president of the US will also be the last. Also, to this story explains some of Baba Vanga's most popular predictions in her book The Ways of Field Guides to the Paranormal. Abduction, apparition, ESP, synchronicity, and more unexplained phenomena from other realms. She wrote, during World War II, everyone flocked to her, hoping that she could reveal clairvoyantly how loved ones in the armed forces were fighting to where bodies could be found. On April 8, 1942, Bulgarian King Boris II came to consult her. Later, during the communist era, Members of the ruling elite showed her advice. It was rumored that Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev consulted her at least once. The future predictions of the blind mystic. Ice cap melt. From 2033 to 2045, the polar ice cap will melt, causing ocean level to rise. Meanwhile, Muslim rule Europe and world economy is thriving. Cloning caused more disaster. The rise of cloning allowed doctors to cure any disaster that anybody simply and easily replaced. The US will launch an attack on Muslim Rome using a climate-based instant freezing weapon. Red and green. Between 2072 and 2086 a gladless. Communist society will thrive hand in hand with newly restored nature. Mars attack. A lot happened from 2170 to 2156, including a Mars colony becoming a nuclear power and demanding independence from the Earth, the establishment of an underwater city, and the discovery of something terrible during the search for alien life. Time travel. Sometime between 2262 and 2304 will correct time travel. Meanwhile, Frank Julius finds the Muslim authorities in France. The secrets of the moon will be unveiled. The end of the Earth. From 2341, a series of natural and man-made disasters rendered our home planet uninhabitable. Humanity escaped to another solar system, but resources are scarce and worse are great than research. Going backwards, 3850 to 3878. Civilization had been destroyed and people lived like beasts until a new religion rise to research the power of the darkness. Immortal alien hybrids. From 4302 to 4674, the concepts of avarice and hatred have been eliminated. Humans are immortal and have assimilated with aliens. So 340 billion people scattered throughout the universe can talk to God. The end of all things. In 5079, the world will end. Did Baba Vanga predict this event? The cursed nuclear submarine disaster. In the 1980s, Supply prophets predict that in August of 1999, it will convert Greek order and the whole world will weep over it. Conquers the Russians after sacking the Barren Sea on August 12 and killing all abroad. 9/11. In 1989, Baba Vanga said, "Horror, horror, the American president will fall after being attacked by the steel bird. The whole world will be howling in the bush, and Innocent blues will be gushing." On September 11, 2001, plane hijacked by Islamic extremists hit the World Trade Center in New York, killing thousands of people. World War III. Baba warned that assassination attempt on four heads of states in 2010 would become one of the causes for the start of World War III. Some did misses in prediction as incorrect, as the heads of state were believed to potentially refer to Obama, Sarkozy, Netanyahu, Vladimir Putin, and Gordon Brown. However, observers note that Hamas leader Mahmoud Mahmoud was assassinated in Dubai on January 19, 2010, and police later lists Kanetsky was found dead in suspicious circumstances on April 10, 2010. Also point out that Libya Colonel Muammar Gaddafi was killed on October 20, 2011, and Saddam Hussein died a few years earlier on December 30, 2006. Overlinked to the Arab Spring Week, Baba Sedu said even in Muslim Week would bring about the next global conflict. Syria. Before she died, The clairvoyant made a chilling prophecy about the rise of nuclear weapons. Baba reportedly prophesied the 2016 invasion of Europe by Muslim extremists, a conflict she predicted would begin with the Arab Spring in 2010. She also allegedly forewarned a first showdown in Syria where Muslims would use chemical warfare against Europeans. The prediction is certainly similar to the sudden Gaza strike through to have been conducted on the order of Syria and later Bashar Assad. Brexit. Theorists believe she foretold Brexit, even going so far as to say that Europe as we know it will cease to exist by the end of 2016. North Korea and Donald Trump. Baba also appears to predict that the 45th President of the United States, Donald Trump, would be faced with a crisis which would bring the country down. Her chilling prediction states, everyone will put their hopes in him to end it, but the opposite will happen. He will bring the country down and conflicts between North and South states will escalate. Some speculate the references to North and South could mean North and South Korea. Nostradamus' prediction for 2020. From economic crisis, stock market crash, apparent socio-political slippage to the dramatic degradation of people's actions and feelings. From a geoclimatic point of view, the need to purify and rebalance the earth will lead to hurricanes, floods, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. Nostradamus considered that in 2020 a new era will begin, both in terms of the calendar, but also realistically. The year 2020 marks a sad moment, favorable and, at the same time, dangerous in the history of mankind, meant to bring both disaster and revelation. As the preceding years heralded this terrible, yet wonderful potential, the critical year 2020 did not necessarily mean an end, but rather the fundamental transformation of the world we live in, a rebirth of humankind on a new spiritual level. Some major Nostradamus prophecies for 2020. The outbreak of the Third World War, the latent conflict between NATO and Russia, the exchange of words between Donald Trump and North Korea, but also the fact that, in 2020, the US will start the greatest military exercise in Asia made a lot of people think of Nostradamus' predictions. Most Nostradamus' critics messages seem to predict death and destruction. According to his prophecies, a 27 years devastating war will now break between two great world superpowers after the rising and the third attitudes. This is how the prophecy sounds. In the city of God, there will be a great thunder. Two brothers are torn apart by chance, while the fortress enrolls. The great leader will scream. The third big war will begin when the big city is burning. Vladimir Putin will be assassinated, and Donald Trump will suffer from a mysterious disease. Nostradamus predicted a very violent year, both for the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, and the former American president, Donald Trump. According to experts, Nostradamus warned about the assassination attempt of Vladimir Putin, an armed conflict in the Middle East, and about the renewed relationship with his American counterpart between 2020 and 2021. The Russian president, Vladimir Putin, will suffer an assassination attempt by his security team. If the prophecy fulfilled, Putin will be betrayed by someone very close to him. Regarding Donald Trump, the prophet predicted that he will suffer from a mysterious disaster and that a member of the American president's family will be the victim of a traffic accident. Big financial crisis. According to Nostradamus' prediction for 2020, we are on the verge of an imminent market crash. The short-term but powerful fall of the best-known American Stock Index at the beginning of this year has caused global effects, determining many people to think of a new crisis. while some analysts insist that we are not witnessing another bubble that is about to burst. Like in 2008, also experts think that the economic chaos is lurking right around the corner. In 2020, England will have a new king. The Queen's death will be one of the most bothering events in Great Britain from the past 70 years. Since her coronation, in 1952, Queen Elizabeth had lived long enough to meet 13 Prime Ministers of Great Britain and 13 Presidents of the United States of America. Now she is 92 and this year, her reign will end. At the death of the Queen, for the last 12 days, Great Britain will mourn and stop any activity, the experts estimating losses in the country's economy of a few billion pounds. Banks and stock markets will close, and both the funeral and the coronation of the Queen's successor will become national holiday days. Prince Charles will take the throne of Great Britain. He will then visit Scotland and Wales, shortly after the death of the Queen. A new Pope in Catholic Church. It is believed that Notre Dame refer to Pope Francis' equation 2.97 and 5.31. But the French prophet predict the death of the Pope into 2020. Pope Francis' successor will be a young man who will option a high position in 2020. The Quench's interpretation claims that the new Pope will create a scandal in Catholic Church starting from 2020. We will last until 2029. Pope Francis will be the last true Pope, while his successor will be a Pope whose papacy will lead to the disappearance of Rome, and who will be, in fact, the last sovereign pontiff. In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven high city will be destroyed and the dreadful charge will charge the people. The end. The climate change will affect the planet, and the world later will start to take measures against pollution. A major earthquake will hit the area between California, USA, and Vancouver, Canada. The European and American will face in immigrants usual, and the terrorist attack will be increasingly higher. Is the end of the world coming in 2020? The end of the world seems to be an obsession of all previous current generation. In this apocalyptic scenario, there is, undoubtedly, a lot of naivety, but also self-culpability. Instinctively, people feel that in their normal behavior there are many errors concerning Notre Dame claim that any death had its reward. This is probably the roots of the end of the world idea. There will be hurricanes and earthquakes in some areas of North America. Yes, there will also be financial prosperity in 2020, but only if the money will be used, claim Notre Dame, for good purpose. 2020 will be characterized by many natural disasters, but also by accomplishment in science. There will be floods in many countries from Europe, Italy, Czech Republic, Great Britain, a continent that will endure many terroristic attacks. In the Middle East, the extremism phenomenon based on religion will increase. It is certain that in all the scenarios regarding the end of the world, the serious wrong that would document will also incriminate. The goal of these three words mean to warn the people about the sins, hate, aggression, negative thinking, self-destruction, wars, pollution, and the destruction of the natural environment, deforestation, the destruction of animal and plant species, industrial life food system, depletion of planet resources, committed by humanity in order to avoid them. Our yearly horoscope says that this year should not be considered a moment of destruction, but rather the birth of the new system, of a new enlightenment era.
I hope you like this and just like and subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching and see you later in the next video.